You're gonna have a good week this week, I think. I'm feeling it. You've been kind of in a rut, I think. Last playoffs, not just this playoffs.
A little bit.
Okay,
A little bit. Yeah.
well, at least on the best bets. Sorry, but I'm feeling a good week because I don't even know it. I don't think it's possible. I don't think you could do a teaser in this game. I don't think you can do it. So there's just no way that you're going to have a bad week. You can't lose.
Yeah, teasers not an option this week. I considered that. I honestly thought you might open being like, "Are you glad that you're not able to do a teaser anymore this year?"
I was kind of.
I would have been like, "Yes,"
but also at the same time, I'm like, okay, he's kind of due right to have a good week as well, because you kind of, and I mean, we're basically even, in the, I guess, kind of in the records category, so to speak, and whatnot. We kind of evened out.
It's funny how we've bounced back all year. You started out hot, I started out cold.
Right.
Then we shifted where I got hot and you got cold.
Yep.
And now it's reversed, but we're back to even.
Man, yeah, I had that cold spell. That sucked. I remember that. I feel like I didn't hit a college bet for 4 weeks. It's like an NFL kept me alive, and then the college bets always lost. I'm like, shoot, if I lose an NFL bet, then we're going to be really hurting, and then I kind of did. But anyway, facts, lies, and one truth. Kind of final hoorah here, Super Bowl 59. I have the colors, and then I was kind of seeing this. So they did early last week, somebody in New Orleans posted, Chiefs colors on outside of the Superdome, right around the Superdome. And I was like, they're probably testing the lights. It's 2 weeks ago, so they're probably making sure the lights work to the proper color. If whoever wins, that's the color you shine it. Mm-hmm. Now I know, if you can tell by our little banner here, the Super Bowl 59 official colors are similar colors to the Chiefs. It's like a darkerish red, although the Chiefs red's kind of, I don't know, darkerish red with a golded yellow Dijon looking color, right, for the logo. So they're similar colors is the point, and I think that's what they were shining on the Superdome.
And I'm sure people have been having their theories about that too, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Well, what was it last year I heard going into the Super Bowl though? Because it was the two colors of this have made the last so many Super Bowls or something, and that ended up not working out because I think it was purple, and then the Niners color, saying it was going to be Ravens Niners last year.
Yeah, true. I do remember something like that.
Yeah, I can't remember exactly how that went, but
yeah, I remember that a little bit, and it's kind of Anyway, just so I try to make our little a theme, I guess you want to say, or banners, Super Bowl colors. I don't know how close I got, but I was like, all right, it's tough to see. Anyway, they hired a local artist to kind of of New Orleans to make the Super Bowl logo with the colors.
Sweet.
Yeah, it was kind of cool. Yeah, I kind of saw that on social media. Anyway,
nice.
Yeah, no, it was cool. We have some good. I was going to ask you something as we kind of get started in terms of looking at Super Bowl 59. Is there anything you've learned this football season? Sports betting?
Yeah.
Non-teaser related. It can be teaser related.
Dude, I still love teasers, man.
Okay.
Teasers is how I got into betting, and up until this year, teasers have been very good for me. So I'm not going to go away from teasers next year. This year, it's been brutal all year. What have I learned? I mean, it's gone back and forth. Early in the year, or not even early. I mean, I think I really I was getting into a groove for a while, and so at that point, what I learned was man, it's really beneficial to go look at the opposing team for where you want to bet, right? When you're looking at props. Hey, go look at their last 6 games. What are other teams doing against them? That doesn't always work out, but I found that I was having a lot of success doing that. I think the other thing I've learned, probably don't want to admit this, but I don't care because this is what I learned this year.
Yeah.
Betting is so time intensive if you want to do it at a high level that I'll always be a small time bettor. Yep. I'm going to be honest with it, man. It's just a couple weeks I was like, let me go hard. And it was good. And then I was like, I'm fucking worn out from this.
Yeah.
And you kind of back off a little bit. And it's just the results were up and down. And it's yeah, I'm going to be a small time bettor, dude. This shit is a absolute fucking grind. If you really want to take the time to research every game, Because there were times, I would look at one game and spend an hour on it.
Yep.
And just one game, and it's like college and pro. So I mean, those are the two things for me.
Yeah, it's what last year I really ramped it up because obviously I left DV Sports, so I had the ability to ramp it up. And Sarah being in nursing school, she would study, but I would study because that's why I got Phil Steele, because it had data that I can go track down and study as well. So it was a sit down moment for me. But yeah, I would find myself at least 15 minutes a game. Because by the time you start it out, get to every data in front of you and go through that, that's at least 15 minutes.
Yep.
Right? And you could, I mean, if you really want to bet on the game, obviously it's going to be more than that because you're going to get a little deeper. But if there's anything that jumps out to you off the jump, that's it. So I get that. Me and learning, props, man. With good data, you can really attack props because they're very hard to price. Yeah. Right? So I've noticed that with the NFL big time, that it's really hard to price props. I'm reading a book now that says, like, live betting is really the way to go if you want the best money, because it's so hard for the book to really price live betting because models can only take you so far, and they're simply just going off data that is in-game to make the number. If you're watching the game, you have an advantage. If you're watching it, like especially if you're doing like a Marshall, Georgia State college basketball game, ain't nobody watching that thing. Right, so they're just simply relying on a model to give the number that they like for the book. Mm. So if you're watching, have any inclination, that's the way to go. So I've kind of learned those two things. Not saying I'm any better at sports betting by knowing that, live betting, I should say. But I have like noticed that depending on what you see, like, because that's the thing, like they were saying, if you know, like, hey, this coach will go for 2, if he won't go for 2, like in terms of like, the Commanders always going for it on 4th down, that factors into your bet on live betting, and maybe the model doesn't know that.
Totally. No, that's a great point, man. I love that. Yeah.
So I was like, okay, but now that's kind of when you start to kind of psych yourself out. So now you're just thinking so much in that live bet. And like psych you out of either taking it or push you into taking it. But yeah, so the props thing, I think that's probably what I'll stick with. And I know why a lot of people stick to that, because it's hard to price. And if you jump early, like in this case with the Super Bowl, I'm sure we get into it in terms of right. You've been hearing it all week. I'm sure you have. I have. Is you bet the ones that you want to do over for. Whether it's a tight end prop, yardage, or whatever, you want to hit that. Well, Thursday of last week, because that's when they released. And then obviously if you like something under, then you need to wait, well, as long as you can. If you're going to forget on Sunday, then you might want to do it Saturday night, right, or whatever. Wait as long as you can for it. Because I saw there was a pro today that said that 80% of his bets have not even been made yet.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. And I wonder how the limits work, because I was thinking about that with like, hey, where do the lines go on these things? And prop, yes, you're exactly right. Get close to game day, all the Joes come in because they wait till the last minute. But I was like, when do those the limits open up? So will we see movement? Because normally with the Super Bowl, it's going to be tight. But in a normal, regular week, you start getting them open up on a Thursday. So do we get the Thursday before the Super Bowl? Since there's 2 weeks, do we get it earlier? I don't know how that works, but I was thinking about that, and it'd be good to know. Yeah,
props were released this past Thursday. Not all books had them, but I think I got mine like 3:30 on Thursday. That's why I hit Goddard so early with that. But it doesn't always work in your favor. I'll get into that. I got one that, has gone the other way. But I think you'll see a lot Sunday. The public can move. There's so much public money for this game. The public can move it. So that's what I'm interested in. I just don't I'd be interested to see which ones move, I guess, hard. Like, I don't see a coin toss moving.
you bet that actually?
Oh, yeah. That's been like a thing, for the Super Bowl. Yeah.
Oh, that's illegal in Colorado.
It's illegal in most United States books.
Oh, you got an offshore.
But there's offshores that have a lot of... Now, it's weird, though, because a couple of years ago, just 2 years ago, they did have... And it gets less and less for offshore every year because of the... It's not really clear-cut. Like, they do a lot of, like, first, is it Pepsi or Coke? First commercial. Mm-hmm. Right? What celebrity will you see? Ryan Reynolds or Ryan Gosling first? Right. Mm-hmm. So like it gets dicey if like they're both in the same shot or both in the same commercial. You know what I mean? Like that's kind of where it gets interesting. Remember my bookie had a lot 3 years ago. They did like first, they're still due first song, but my bookie's not doing At least what I saw, I didn't see first song for Kendrick Lamar. I know that's of some books, but not of theirs.
Okay.
They've taken a lot down due to the just insanity of it, right? It's so random, really. I mean, or you have an inside scoop, maybe too. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Like, they've just taken a lot down. They don't have as many as they used to, at least when I was poking around on those offshore accounts.
Yeah,
but they're fun.
Yeah, they're fun. I mean, I remember when Snoop Dogg did the halftime. It's probably been 4 years ago, maybe. You could bet on what color his shirt was going to be, his shoes, everything, and it was like, this is insane. That's a little more clear cut than what you're talking about. National Anthem's going to be a popular one too.
Yep.
But I feel like they're getting really tight on that because it always gets fucking released now. Like somebody spoils it.
They already took it off for my bookie that I saw.
Did they really?
Already? Yeah, because I'm assuming they practiced this week. I don't know if they already have, but yeah. I did see one that I like a lot was what is more, the national anthem length or Saquon Barkley rushing yards? I thought that was hilarious. So the over-under is 160 and a half. Or no, is that it for national anthem? Yeah, I think that's it. For
that sounds
minutes.
Right.
Or seconds? That'd be seconds. Yeah. So, and I was like, I would definitely take the national anthem. Is more
if it's like even money. Surely you got to be.
It was minus 125.
Less money.
It was minus 125.
Wow, that's it.
Yeah.
I mean, do you really think Barkley's going to blow? We'll get into it, but that's a lot.
It's 100. It's 120.5. So
Okay.
Opening line. Yep. Or 2 minutes and 5 seconds.
Got you. Okay.
Right.
Yep. Okay.
120, man. I don't know. I like the national anthem. I just don't know if he goes for 100. Anyway, we'll get into it. Pretty good. We got some housekeeping duties to go over. Oh, yeah. We'll jump off with this. People that have listened, followed us. I know your mom is one of them. So give a shout out to her. I know Jerry's listened to his quite a few episodes of ours too over this year. We started in August last week, second to last week of August, I think it was. Mm-hmm. And pretty much we've been pretty solid all year. I think we, obviously with the Super Bowl week, it's 2 weeks long, so we've skipped that. We didn't do any Pro Bowl bullshit, but but we've been pretty solid. I know the days have not been necessarily consistent, but we have lives. People got it. But we appreciate the followers, the 3, 5, 9, 10, whatever that listen. That's the thing. Podcasts always start out hot, right? Everybody, it's so cool you do one. Where are you at on week 12?
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean? So, that's kind of always interesting. But, yeah, very appreciative of the ones that do show a little support and some love. But, okay, getting into it, we have some – what do we got? Where we were right. I have the two from the conference championship games. And I went with the tight ends based off of I guess you could say based off the trends I saw on the round before. And the only one that didn't hit in the first half was Goddard because he had 34 receiving yards in the first half instead of 35. Yeah, so both of them was hit in the first half. So I hit that. So that was kind of nice. That was my two big for that weekend. And then I only had two best bets. You had one for where we were wrong, and it was a teaser.
It was a teaser, so it was all obviously wrong. Yeah.
The Commanders did not. I don't know if they didn't show up. It just wasn't their day.
A lot of turnovers. I mean, let's be real, right? They had some turnovers that kind of plagued them, but they still got their ass kicked too. Third matchup, I didn't. Yeah, I felt great about that bet. Obviously, third matchup of the year. Don't think it's going to be a blowout. The other two are really tight. Yep. Bills Chiefs are always tight, which it was again. But yeah, watching that while I was on the golf course, and it was like, this is a fucking beatdown. I mean, first play from scrimmage, touchdown.
Yeah,
take one.
I was like, all right. I don't.
So another losing teaser. Too bad you can't fade those.
I know.
And you could have just faded it, but yeah, we're done. Done with teasers.
Yeah, that's why you have a live betting, right? So all right, pretty much even here. 35, 35, 36, 37 for me. Going into this final Super Bowl week, we have plenty of bets on the Action app to take a look at. But there's the final records. And it says 2024 record, just to clarify on this last episode, is that is for the 2024 football season, even though we're into 2025, right? I know that came. I guess I could have put 24-25, but whatever. I mean, it's the 2024 season. It's always tough when you talk like Super Bowls and stuff. It's like, wait a second. 2024 season or 2025? You know what I mean? When you're talking stats. So,
I hadn't even thought about that, but yeah, fair point to make.
Okay,
fair
all
point to make.
right. Before we get going to Action URL codes, if you want to follow all the bets for this weekend, for any time, for any day, for any sport, Action URL code, QR. What was QR code? URL code. It's work. Work always kind of gets me in the URL because I'm like, hey, at the top, here's how you get to your, host name for your software. So I say URL a lot because people know what that is. Anyway, QR code, you can scan it there or find us by username Joe_WannabePro is me, Corey Oxley, and then for Alex, it's Alex_Meish for his QR code. You can scan it. A lot on there too. Plus, I bet a lot of other sports. You have a great MLB record.
2-0, baby, undefeated.
It's good ROI right there.
Well, once football's over, we pivot to college basketball.
Oh, that's what everybody does,
yeah.
Right? And that's the best time to do it, right? Because we're getting in the conference tournament season. It's quickly approaching, and it's the best time to watch it.
Yep.
Your Jayhawks have been on a little bit of bump. Big loss this past weekend.
Big game tonight versus the Cyclones.
They're back at it.
They're back at it tonight already, man.
Big Monday.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. And I will tell the crowd something just because this is terrible. You don't even know this.
Okay.
Scary game for me. I made a bet. Didn't think it was a real bet. But me and my friend Steve here both went to KU. One of his best friends, cool guy, that went to a huge Iowa State fan. They ended up working together in Kansas City. Anyways, he's a huge Iowa State guy. And we always try to make some bet on KU Iowa State. We do it football, basketball. Well, this year it's thrown out. Hey, if either team gets the season sweep, the other person has to get a tattoo of the other team. And I said, oh, seems reasonable. Joking, obviously. Well, comes back and everybody else was serious about it. The other two were. Oh. So if KU loses tonight, I'm going to have to get the smallest Cyclone tattoo on my ass ever.
What?
So it's a big fucking game.
I would never bet that.
I didn't mean to. I didn't think it was real. Like, I said seems reasonable, haha. And then, like, a week later, before time, they're like, all right, bets on, boys, bets on. And I, like, wasn't paying attention to my phone and didn't see it. And I was like, I can't back out now. The game started. But, like, fuck, I thought we were totally done. It's a huge bet. I would never make that type of bet. But,
oh, my gosh. Okay.
I got a plan if they lose, though. Don't worry. I have a long-term plan about how to rectify this. So
do you?
It's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
I believe in you. All right. Well,
Thank you.
Also, the J, is it at Kansas?
It's at Allen Fieldhouse.
Okay. Well, all right. Come on. Pretty solid stuff. We expect a rebound here, too. Wait, Iowa State, right, you said?
Yep.
Yeah, they're off a loss as well, so it's going to be interesting to see how that shakes out.
Yeah, I know.
Kansas State beat the shit out of them, so.
I wasn't hoping for that because it's a rebound game for them, rebound game for KU.
Oh, man. But you're at home, which is nice. Although West Virginia beat you at home. I don't know. It'd be interesting to see how it shakes out.
Anyways, that was a side note.
Oh, man, that's a big side note. Good God. That's bold. So, all right. Anyway, we'll get right into it. Super Bowl 59. Here on Sunday, 6:30, I believe, is kick time. Probably a little bit. I don't have it to the exact dot, but I got something. Lot to cover. I don't know how much you got. I got a decent bit amount of bets, but I don't know if I have a ton of best bets. I kind of went off the script here in terms of just normal shit. I don't have a lot. I have some normal shit, but I don't have a lot. Off the jump, I'll say this, and I'll kick it to you. I'm picking a side. I have picked a side. I have not picked a total yet. But I had picked a side. My side that I've picked the Eagles. Funny enough, the minute that the spreads were released on Sunday night for the Super Bowl, I hit Eagles plus 105. The minute that they were released on Hard Rock Sports app, I hit plus 105. I just thought it might shift to more of a pick 'em. Well, it still is, I guess, pretty much. I just felt that maybe I wouldn't get the plus 105, that I could definitely see the Eagles also being, which still could happen. I think I think it's kind of set where it is now. But anyway, that's my side that I picked. Do you have a side?
This is a fair. If anybody can see my background, I'm a Chiefs guy. I went heavy on the Chiefs. Pure emotion, I'll be honest. Pure emotion. But the Chiefs just never let me down in the playoffs, too. Like, I should have just been giving them out of the best bet because I do bet them mostly in the playoffs. I didn't versus the Texans because that was a big spread. But versus the Bills, I did a hefty little amount on that, too. So, emotionally, yes, I'm going to back the Chiefs. So, it's not, I still have takes on the game because it is a wide open game. It's a coin flip game, but I'm going to side with the Chiefs.
Okay. Yeah, it is a coin flip game too. I think a lot of the pros that I've been listening to, they're all Chiefs. Although I did hear a couple today. The more the time goes on, and the more numbers you hear, the more stats are thrown out, right, and all that. I mean, a lot of this stuff does look solid for the Eagles as well, right? It's not like, oh man, they got Mahomes. That's all. That's it right there. Like that's all I'm betting. But a lot of like bets, right, that people have taken that are pros is the 17 straight one possession game wins. I mean, how many? I mean, especially with teams that are. I mean, the Eagles, good defense, right, and then obviously the Chiefs going for 3 straight. One possession game seems very reasonable. Vegas thinks so as well. Right here, with the spread being so low, or close, I should say. So yeah, the one possession game does seem real. So the fact that it's been 17 straight makes you think, yeah, okay, yeah, all right, 18 straight here. You know what I'm saying? So that's why that kind of trump card of saying that trend, I guess, is kind of there. So, but in terms of like, I'll just give out one best bet off the jump. I'm gonna go with a sack bet. I'll start with that. In no particular order, I guess, when you see the slide. It's funny because if you look at the line for the Kansas City Chiefs, right, if you take a look at that, Creed Humphrey's, I guess, best center in the league, probably, you think?
He's all pro.
Okay. Yeah,
First team all pro, so, yeah.
Yep. There has been 57 guards, centers, or tackles to have played at least 50 pass blocking plays in the playoffs. Humphrey is the only one to not allow a single quarterback pressure.
Wow.
That's pretty sweet.
Hey, we're going to need him, Jalen Carter.
That's where I'm headed. On the contrary, though, his guard, Mike Caliendo, has allowed 6 pressures in the playoffs, and he leads the Chiefs, obviously, in pressures allowed for the offensive line. Jalen Carter, I don't know. We've talked about this earlier in the year. I think the Giants' defensive tackle, right, Dexter Lawrence?
Yeah.
He's an absolute stud. The Giants were pretty shitty this year, and he started to play less. We talked about, you alluded to that, as they kind of mailed it in. In terms of defensive tackle, Jalen Carter's got to be like a top 5 player. One guy I heard say today he's the best defensive tackle in the league. Dexter Lawrence is an absolute monster. It's pretty bold, I thought. For me, that's kind of my pick, I guess. I don't know what you consider. PFF says he's a defensive lineman. Chris Jones. That's kind of tough to say. Where does he fit in there with the best?
That was going to be my one rebuttal. It's like, where's Chris Jones in this, though?
Yeah, he's always ranked, number 1 on PFF there. So, anyway, so I'm hoping for – and plus they get 2 defensive tackles that are pretty solid in general. So that's kind of in terms of the Eagles do. So that's why I'm like, okay, I like this, where we're headed. They got a good defensive interior and lineman. Jordan Davis, right, pretty solid there. So I'm going to go Jalen Carter over half a sack. Made that pretty early. I don't have a ton of units on it. We've talked about this. Sack's kind of on luck, right? Because if they try to double team Jalen Carter because he's such a beast, then that shifts to like a Jordan Davis sack. So that's kind of tough, right? But I got the price was decent. I don't know what it's sitting at. I got plus 120 on it. So I know a lot of Joe bettors out, like kind of ourselves, out there. They like that plus money look. Right, with a bet. Yeah. So if you're listening and you want a plus money bet, look, I mean, sack bets are always good to go to, and I got a better one here later when we get to some Chiefs talk. But Jalen Carter over 1.5 sacks, what I got.
Okay. I saw that, and my first thought was I'm not betting anybody to sack Mahomes. I know he's taken more sacks this year, but in general, when they played 2 years ago, all the talk was the Eagles broke the history of the sack record, and they sacked him exactly 0 times that Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And that defensive, it's not that I don't want to bet because I like the Chiefs and Mahomes. It's because I don't want to bet somebody to sack Mahomes because he's such a fucking artist back there.
Yeah, but the O-line, I think, is worse this year than it was 2 years ago.
Because of Caliendo.
Bingo.
Yeah, because they had, because their interior line has been the best for like 3 years until they had to put Caliendo in there. Because and the reason they had to do that is because they had to bump Joe Tooney to left tackle. Yeah, because the left tackle is so piss poor. Right. So that is the biggest, and I heard a pro say the biggest mismatch in the game is Jalen Carter versus Caliendo. So that backs you up.
Yeah.
Biggest mismatch.
It's only shifted to plus 115. So, but sack bets are not hugely taken. So that's why maybe there's a little movement as of now, as you can see. Anyway, what you got?
Well, since you're going to do a sack, I'll go back to the sack.
Okay.
I did this on value. I went with Charles Omenihu plus 200. Not a best bet, but I was looking at sacks too because I was like, I'm taking somebody. And again, I'm not going to take somebody to sack Mahomes. Jalen Hurts, not nearly as mobile. I mean, he kind of hurt his knee versus the Rams, and he's just not running as much. I think he's kind of a sitting duck back there, and he holds the ball a long time. So that was my thought. And then it's like, who do I take? I'm going to take Chris Jones, Karlaftis. They were barely. It was like plus 110 and 120. Like, I'm not going to do that because they're probably going to double team Chris Jones. So that's where I went to Omenihu because he's getting a lot of snaps. He's one of those guys that got hurt late last year, so he didn't come back till week 12, 14, something like that. So he's been getting his feet underneath him. So I like that angle. And again, it's a value play. Is he the best defensive lineman? Obviously not, but plus 200, I like the value.
So a little bit there. Chiefs blitz the 7th highest rate in the NFL, right? And they're usually, well, I should say this is facts. They're able to get pressure on the quarterback on 40% of those blitzes. Jalen Hurts is the 4th worst quarterback against blitzes in the NFL when he does receive them, right? When they're successful and receive, he's the worst against it, 4th worst. So that's kind of why I was like, okay. So I do expect a little bit of blitzes here. Now, it's weird when you look at the grade. We went over this last week. When you look at the Eagles' grades for offensive line, they grade so well. But yet the Eagles were, I was really looking at them. They're top 5, top 6 in sacks allowed this year, I thought. I know they're top 10. But when you kind of look at that, you're like, wow, how? It's just because the blitzes and different things they throw at them. I mean, we've saw teams can be successful. On top of that, I took a gander at some of these Chiefs players, right? I mean, if you kind of look at it right off the jump, you want to jump at Chris Jones. You want to jump at Karlaftis?
What, Karlaftis?
That
was awesome.
Okay. I mean, you do. I mean, if you look at his, you're like, okay, this dude's a beat because he's been killing. He had 3 sacks versus the Texans, right? And then he had, he had a pretty good year. He had 11 total all year. So, it's always a good choice. But his value is not that great. It's about even money now.
Right. Yep. Yeah, right. And that's what I was saying why I didn't want to take him. Yeah.
Yeah. So looking at that, I was like, all right, I'm not going to jump at that. So I actually took someone different than you then on top of that. So
all right, who you got? I think it's more lucky for the Chiefs because of all the blitzing they do. I think it's like, might as well take a high guy.
So obviously on the Eagles side, I took Jalen Carter, but I'm going to throw somebody that I'm assuming you know who this is, being a Chiefs fan. But I had to kind of scroll down and kind of see this cat. Tershawn Wharton. And this is all a PFF find. It's kind of how I found this. Because if you kind of look at it, he's like kind of their pass rush defensive guy. If you really look at it. Because, he doesn't have a ton of snaps. Right, in terms of the team, because they swap out D-line. But if you take a look at his stuff, he's got a sack last 3 games.
Oh.
Yes, he does. I don't even know who this guy is. I got some other weird tidbits about this cat. Okay, Tershawn Wharton. Okay, he's been injured some this year, right? But he's definitely been kind of more of their pass rush guy. Week 18, I don't know if you want to count that, but and then week 14, he didn't play a lot of snaps. So I'm going to call that injured or not. But anyway, he's from St. Louis, Missouri. I'm assuming he's a Chiefs fan, but you could be a Rams fan. Could be. Right? But the Chiefs were good growing up, so I'm like, he's probably a Chiefs guy. Come on.
Yeah.
He played at Missouri S&T.
Oh.
Do you even know where that is? I don't.
Not at all.
Okay.
No, I was thinking he went to a small school, though. I thought I remembered that.
Yeah.
Missouri S&T?
Missouri
I feel like
S&T.
we know a lot of small schools. But that one? What?
No clue. Obviously, safe to say he's undrafted. Went to high school in Missouri as well. So he's a Missouri kid playing for the Chiefs in a Super Bowl. I'm thinking a little bit of hunger here. And he's their pass rush guy. Grades, he didn't grade great against Buffalo, but he did have a sack, which is all we care about. And then the game before against the Texans, he did grade very well and also had a sack. So last 2 games had a sack. The last total 3 games played at Pitt, right? Because week 18, they didn't play any of their starters. That's why they got destroyed by the Broncos, but had a sack there too. So you can get it I got it at plus 225. That's the best, probable, I think this is going to happen sack bet for that. So that's why I was kind of going to one up you there because of the value of Tershawn. The only negative is, and I was going to look up it real quick, is the snap count. I bet is a little bit better for
Omenihu, but they do rotate a lot, though. The Chiefs do.
Okay, yeah. If you take a look at it in terms of all year pressure snaps, Wharton has more. That's because Omenihu has been injured until week 13.
There you go.
So if you look at the last week, in terms of the weeks that he was not injured, then Omenihu has more. So that's the only kind of kicker there. Did you look into any of success or anything? You're just going off a feel for your boy here.
This is a feel, man. When we get to this stage of the game, I knew you would do more research than me because me being a Chiefs fan, I watched every one of their games. Obviously invested every single week, so this is a very feel thing for me.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it is here with the Missouri S&T for Wharton as well. I just kind of thought it was interesting. And, at 25, I don't have a ton of units on it just because of the Wharton, just the snap count. You want to be afraid. But if you like plus money, 225, that's a fun bet to see. You look up the player number, right? His player number 98, I think, is Wharton. So, just watch for 98 to go get him. I think it's not too bad. Anyway, what else you got?
Okay, let's. I guess we'll switch to a best bet since I have not given out a best bet.
Okay.
So where I'm. It's similar guy to Omenihu in the fact that he did not play the majority of the year, came back late. He's been getting a little bit more targets every single week, and I think when Nakobe Dean went out for the Eagles. I think you're able to attack the middle of the defense. And I think both teams, you attack the middle of the defense. And so I considered Kelsey. I said, nah, I don't want to take the big name guy. Love it. But they play, what I've seen is Xavier Worthy and DeAndre Hopkins on the outside a lot. The guy they play in the slot, and you saw it versus the Bills, Marquise Brown. So my best bet is Marquise Brown over 42.5 receiving yards. I think they hit him early. I think they hit him often. I also took him to score an anytime touchdown. That was kind of value because plus 280. That's not a best bet. But my favorite prop best bet is Marquise Brown over 42.5 receiving yards. I really think they can get after the middle of the field. Because even Zach Bond, guy's a tackling machine, but...
groin injury. Questionable for the game now at this time.
Oh, he's playing. He's getting shot up. He's playing.
I know. I was just making a note. That's all I was saying.
Anyway, so that's the best bet for me right there.
Yeah, any concerns about kind of the lack of playing time here that he's had with Mahomes? I know he has good numbers when he has played. We've talked about it on the podcast before, right? He was pretty much a dud versus the Texans, but defense played so well. The Chiefs' defense played so well versus Texans. I don't know how much that's really factored in.
But if you look at his passing snaps, week 16 he had 16, 17 he had 19, 18 he didn't play because that's when they played the Broncos. Then 25 versus the Texans, 27 versus the Bills. So his line is going up. And if you look at even overall snaps, it's 20, 25, 34, and 43. So yeah, that's kind of why I like that, because I think it's a low number based on I think he's going to get. This is the last game of the year. Who cares if he gets hurt? I mean, from a coach's standpoint, you're going to use them all up here. So
no worries for the Eagles corners being so elite. I mean, Darius Slay, I'm assuming guards the slot here, I would assume. But any concern about that?
Well, I mean, there's worry about the entire Eagles defense because they're so fucking good.
Yeah.
But Chiefs are going to get theirs. Somebody's going to get theirs. They're not going to just shut the Chiefs down. So, I mean, I could say there's concern. There's a concern because it's Vic Fangio's defense. And he knows Mahomes well because he used to coach for the Broncos. So, from an overall game standpoint, that's a concern. From a player prop, they're not going to shut every single person down. That's my thought.
Have you seen Vic Fangio's stats and all that versus Mahomes?
I didn't look into it. I just know.
0-8 straight up. Vic Fangio is.
Now, what is he versus the spread? I would be interested in that.
2 wins, 2-6.
2-6 versus okay.
Yeah, so he's pretty rough. But 6 of those with the Broncos, 2 of them with the Dolphins. Bad teams when he was there. Definitely the Broncos, not very good.
Yeah, the Broncos suck. That's the thing. It's hard to look in that because the offense was
correct. So, but if you look at it, if you go a little bit deeper into that, specifically with the Vic Fangio thing, out of the 10 lowest passing yard games ever by Mahomes, Fangio has 2 of them. Out of all those 10, and there's yards after catch games, Fangio also has 2 of those, yards after catch specifically, and he has the number 1 and number 4. So yards after catch, he's pretty solid with for the most part there. So that kind of stuck out. So there were times that he's been successful. They just not necessarily have won or covered the spread.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that kind of stuck out. So he kind of knows. And plus, I like the reps too. 10 games. That's a lot. So we've seen him. We kind of know some tendencies there. But I didn't let that necessarily factor to any of my bets. I just wanted to note some of those things. That's not why I took the Eagles anywhere of like that because of the plus and minus. I've said that 0-8 straight up or whatever, and then obviously the passing yards and all that didn't really factor into any of that for me. But yeah, so I don't know. Like the same reason like cold weather. I mean, obviously Mahomes being so good in cold weather and all that crap. Like none of that factors in for me either. You know what I mean? I don't know.
Yeah, totally.
That's just my thought. Okay, so going with Worthy there for a best bet over 40. What'd you get? A 42. I'm seeing it here on Action 42 as well.
Yes, yeah, 42.5 is where I was at.
Oh, dang. Okay, and minus what? 110.
110. Yep.
Okay. All right. So moving on. Eagles is not a best bet. Jalen Carter is. Okay, but then I'm going to bring up the the slides too. I took it literally the day the props came out, and I think a lot of people have both of these tight ends, Dallas Goedert and Travis Kelce. I do have both of them as a bet. I do only have one as a best bet. Dallas Goedert over 50.5 in receiving yards. I did see that was juiced up a little bit already. It's at 51.5 minus 117 on some books I see. So I have 50.5. I just feel like a lot of people will target these tight ends. If you remember last week, that was like the hottest bet by Kelce. Everybody taking that bet, and he only had 8 yards was the last time I saw it. I don't know what he ended up with.
He got another catch, but he went well under. He went well under, and I remember talking about that because I was like, every time he plays Sean McDermott, though, he does not eat. Yeah,
and he didn't eat in the regular season either. I think he only had 2 catches in the regular season game versus them. But I do have both only because of the 2 weeks to prepare by Andy Reid, right? And then obviously Dallas Goedert, we saw definitely in the last round that Hurts is kind of likes him a lot. I know A.J. Brown went off too, but so I have as a best bet over 50.5 receiving yards. Not a ton of data, so to speak. I'm just going off of the recent trends and maybe going back to the well, as they call it, with Ertz and Goddard kind of being nailed there, constantly targeted there the last game. So that's why I'm kind of aiming for that. Although we did get good numbers last week, 35.5 for Goddard, and it was like 24 or something crazy for Ertz. That's been juiced back up to 50.5 this week. So that's why I'm a little scared, but I don't think it's too bad. I don't know what my threshold there is. 60 definitely is something I don't like for Goddard. I didn't know. Are you going to the tight ends this week at all? Are you going to Kelce?
I'm on Goddard as well. Yeah, I'm on Goddard. Yeah, that's every tight end beats the Chiefs.
Okay, yeah. And I know they've given up a lot of yards, so I did hear that as well. So I was like, okay, that's not too bad. I do have something else here for you for tight ends. I have not made a bet. I don't know. I've looked at it because he grades pretty well. Noah Gray grades pretty well. The biggest weakness for the Philadelphia Eagles defense in terms of routes ran. Their biggest weakness is crossing routes. Noah Gray leads the Chiefs in crossing routes ran this season.
That is a shocker.
It was for me too. The Eagles are still ranked 11th in the league at defending crossing routes, but they're first in every other category for routes ran by teams. So So I guess that would be the way to attack them is by running crossing routes and knowing Gray leads in routes ran. Now, does that mean Mahomes will throw it to him? That I don't know. Obviously, no one does until the game's played. But it's something to consider moving forward with the Noah Gray pick. That could be something random.
I did, on that note,
mm-hmm.
Let me see if I can find, just so I can see what the number was. Because I took a little Noah Gray action.
Oh, really?
He's very random when he gets targeted.
Yes.
Okay, so I have Noah Gray to have a reception in the first quarter at plus 225.
Wow.
Yeah, I liked that.
Dang.
Yeah, because he's a guy that's like, it's just so random when they use him. And so for me, it's like, rather than like taking the full game, I could see him getting a mix early, kind of, with one of a surprising play or something. So yeah, to your point, man, they use him.
Yeah. And they do run some tight end sets, double tight end sets too, if I remember correctly. The Chiefs do.
Yep.
So, I mean, it'd be interesting. And I did see something earlier. Actually, it was last week. I made a note last week. Kansas City Chiefs play the lowest amount of 11 personnel in the NFL. Interesting to note there. I don't know how that factors in a bet, but if you're looking at something related to that, it didn't for me. Like a Kareem Hunt situation, you know what I mean? I don't know. I've hit that before, so that's why I was a little bit unsure. You know what I mean? Like, where do I factor in? But yep, that was something to see. But okay. So, yeah, I have that at Goddard over 50.5 yards. What do you got?
Yeah, I like that. So going on to another one, I'll just give out another best bet. This is very basic, but to me, this, like, the value just screamed at me, and I was like, how can I not take this? Jalen Hurts, anytime touchdown, -110. Screamed value. He had 3 last Super Bowls versus the Chiefs. If anybody gets stopped inside the 2-yard line, he's going to carry it in for a touchdown.
Right.
I just love it, man. I absolutely love that bet. He has so many rushing touchdowns. I just don't understand why it's -110 still. I do not get that. I really don't understand it. And so that was just screaming at me. I don't have a lot else to say because it's a pretty simple bet. If they get stopped at the 1 or 2 yard line, he's scoring a touchdown.
Opened at +100 even money there. Has been bet, I guess, kind of down to -115. Barkley's at -195. Yeah, the tush push has been pretty powerful there with a touchdown there. I'm just not a huge anytime touchdown better. I don't know why.
No, I love them, man. I love doing those bets.
A lot of people do. I feel like I'm in the minority. I feel like with time because it's usually good value. Like if I did anything, I would go way off script and go absolutely wild as shit and go like Greg Calcaterra. Touchdown.
Yeah, to take a big value
plus bet. 1,600, just go all out. You know what I mean? Like, and be like, "I told you so, guy." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
that would be something.
If you want to get real stupid, you do a first touchdown. I never do that because I think that's dumb, pure luck. But I feel like everybody loves taking those too.
True. Yeah. I mean, like Kenneth Gainwell's not a bad look at plus 1,200 there. Like, I don't know. There's a couple in there that actually aren't terrible. DeAndre Hopkins, anytime touchdowns, plus 500.
You're talking yourself into it, man. I got Marquise Brown because plus 280. I'm like, don't think it's dumb.
Out.
I mean, I got Dallas Goedert here at plus 315. Yeah. Seems like a good one.
Calcaterra only has 1 touchdown this year. Or in his career. Correction. In his career. And it was this year. And it was the year that I picked him up in fantasy.
Beautiful.
I know, it's just a random nugget. That doesn't matter, but it was just funny. But okay, anytime touchdown bet, Jalen Hurts. I mean, it's not a bad look.
Yeah, it's not. It's not like it's like, oh man, like there's all this research and stuff behind it. It's just -110. I think it should be. I felt like it would be closer to -130.
Would you take the juice -195 or Saquon Barkley?
No.
Yeah, that is insane.
Yeah,
I would go the other way for not to score a touchdown, just because.
Because you get value, you probably get that at plus 170 or something.
I know, like 195. That's a lot to pay there. Okay, all right. My third best bet that I have on the list, and that's because of a couple things. I think the number's too high, and of his groin injury reported today. Zach Bond. I have bet this before. I bet this a couple rounds ago. Under on tackles. But when I bet it a couple rounds ago, I think I had it at 6.5. This week is at under. I have under 10.5 tackles plus assists, I guess technically.
Yep.
His 2 highest games, tackles with assists, are Commander games. Speaking of, believe it or not, so that's why I was like, he's well over that number. Is my point. So if you kind of look at mixed and match, he's definitely been more times under this than he has been over this. Add in a groin injury, I'm going maybe take away 5 snaps or so, maybe as well. So I'm like, okay. Plus, I think the way you beat the Chiefs, I'm going to go old-fashioned, old school, is you don't give Mahomes the ball. So maybe it's more of a ground pound, or that's the way they're going to be successful, right? We've seen in this playoffs that teams can be successful running the ball against the Chiefs. So I'm assuming the snap count will be less for the Eagles' defense is the idea. I have the Eagles winning, so I'm going to lean on that. So under 10.5 tackles for me is a best bet. And the injury kind of factored into that a little bit as well.
That is scary popping up at that.
He's going to play, like you say, he's going to play, right? For sure. But like, do we get a couple less snaps, which factors into the tackles?
Do we get an injury
during the game? During the game.
Yeah.
Still counts.
Because if you've ever messed up your groin, like those are sensitive, man. It's a hammy almost. It's just very sensitive. So I think that's I did not know he had the groin injury.
Yeah. Just reported today. Believe it or not. Yeah. So, and I have another one, not a best bet, but since we're on the tackles here. If you look at PFF, Jaden Hicks is not the starter listed at safety for the Chiefs. But if you look at his snaps played, he's slowly kind of taken over that position over Brian Cook. Okay?
Okay.
Over 3.5 tackles, Jaden Hicks. That's what I got.
Jaden Hicks. I don't know.
Go take a peek. He's actually slowly going to become the starter for the Chiefs, I think, going into the next year for sure.
Yeah, Brian Cook is not getting nearly as much.
And he doesn't grade as well. Right? Doesn't grade as well. I mean, Cook's still playing. But Hicks is now taking, I think he's at like 80% of those. I mean, he's taking a good bit of snaps now for the defense.
He rates way higher. Yeah, he grades out much better.
He's becoming the guy. I think 3.5 tackles is way too low. I think it should be at it should be at 5.5 tackles. It is not. I think 5.5 would be on my, I don't know if I want this now bet.
Oh, so that's value then, because that's a big difference.
Yes.
And in gambling, that is a big difference.
So I got a bad number, minus 155, but you might be able to get a better one.
I wonder how they rotate safeties. You don't see that often, but they're both getting plays.
Correct. Yep, I saw that too.
Yeah, that's very interesting.
Yeah, this book has a little bit better, minus 140 over 3.5, but if you're a defensive person, let's bet on some defensive players. Let's go. Anyway,
I don't mind the look, because you're right. He is graded higher. He's starting to get more snaps. That's just interesting. Shuffling safeties. You don't see that often.
I know. Anyway, not a best bet, just a note. Okay, what do you got?
Okay. Well, I guess I'll go to my final best bet. Obviously, I have a ton of bets on the game. My final best bet, a little bit jaded, but I'm taking Chiefs minus 1.5. I'm going to do it because it's like, if I would just do this in every playoffs, I'd be killing it. Yeah. And I bet them. So it's like, I'm going to do it. You brought up that 17 consecutive wins in one-score games.
Yep.
I obviously saw that stat too. And it's like they just always find a way to win at the end. It's going to be a tight game the whole way. And I just trust in that. So, and so other factors. You said, well, let me talk concerns first. Concerns, the Chiefs defense has like completely flipped. Early in the year, their rush defense was stout, man. Pass defense, I don't know. Once Jalen Watson went down, it wasn't very good. It has like completely flipped. Jalen Watson is back, but even before that, that rush defense was just not as good. And you saw the Bills and the Texans just kind of have some success. And it's not like the Texans are a stalwart offense. So concern is Eagles hold that football, like you mentioned. They run it, they just grind it down. And they keep the football from the Chiefs. That is the biggest concern for me. Because outside of that, I think the Chiefs can match up well. Because Jalen Hurts, so you said the fourth worst quarterback? I heard this week from the pro better I like the most, he is graded 43rd out of 43rd QBR when under pressure. The worst in the NFL. So it's just funny. Who knows where we get these stats from? Either way, he was pretty bad at that. And Spags is famous in high clutch situations. He is bringing the pressure. You know it, but he gets so damn creative with it. Jalen Hurts holds onto the football forever. So those are the good things from that side of the ball for the Chiefs.
Yeah.
I just don't think Jalen Hurts has it as a passer. So it's going to be, can they stop Saquon Barkley? I hope they kind of stack the box and make Jalen Hurts beat him. We'll see. I know last Super Bowl that didn't work out for him. But I think it's a little bit different Jalen Hurts this year, too. Other side of the ball, talked about Vic Fangio. That defense is legit with the Eagles. You're not going to shut the Chiefs down forever, though. If you put me in an end-of-game situation, I'm always going to back Mahomes to be able to go down and get a field goal. I think they're going to have a really hard time running the football, the Chiefs. I do. Because when they had to shuffle and put Caliendo in and bump the Tooney out, their rush offense hasn't been that great. But again, 2 weeks to prepare. Andy Reid, I think he knows Vic Fangio well too, so I think he's going to have some stuff dialed up. They could come out hot, and then I think, honestly, I could see the Chiefs coming out hot, having a little bit of a lull, and then finishing hot. anyways, it's a little bit of emotional play. It's also just like Chiefs just somehow always fucking find a way. So that's final best bet, and that's kind of the overall big thoughts of the game that I'm looking at too.
Yeah, live betting will be solid for this, obviously, as it usually is for most games. But yeah, I mean, again, it's a coin flip game, right? You can make cases for both teams, so that's why the line is so close. I did see something interesting based on records here. With a rushing TD Sunday, Kareem Hunt would tie Terrell Davis for the longest streak of consecutive playoff games with a touchdown since starting their career.
Jeez.
Yep. So, first 6 career playoff games, Kareem Hunt has a touchdown in every game.
Wow. Kareem Hunt.
Yeah.
He's playing a lot, too. He's kind of taking it over from Pacheco.
Yeah, Pacheco's been injured, and then he came back, right, and still really didn't get the love.
He just hasn't been as good since he came back from the injury. Yeah.
Yep. So, kind of makes me want to just take Hunt just to say that's because of make it 7, right? Like tie Terrell Davis, Hall of Famer.
Let's go.
Let's
most. See what kind of odds do we have on.
Yeah,
Kareem
I got
Hunt
it right here for you. If you're looking at Kareem Hunt, I got plus 140, but it opened at plus 130, so it's going in the other direction. So maybe wait and let everybody hammer the Barkleys, the Hurts, the Kelseys, the Goddards. Right, even at Mahomes, even actually, I can see people hitting that as well. That opened at 340, but it is going up to 350. So it'd be interesting to see a lot of these anytime touchdown props. Seems like a Joe look for fun, right? It could be both. I think that's a bet for both sides. Pros and Joes also like to hit it because it's a fun bet to make, and plus, red zone snaps.
I've actually seen pros that have models that send out like touchdown bets. So I do think you're right. I think it's both. I think but the pros are just smarter and they look at value and actually have data behind it and shit like that.
Yep, I know. It's pretty wild. Okay, I got one more to note here for best bets. I do have 4 total, fourth one. It's a little random, but it's also kind of the plus money vibe since we have, I got 2 plus monies for you with a sack bet and then a parlay. Saquon Barkley. With the Eagles, right? Over 1.5 receptions is what I have. Paired with parlay, Chiefs quarterback Patrick Mahomes over 35.5 pass attempts. I've heard a lot of pros, and this is the pro side of this, me swooping in on that, like the 35.5 pass attempts. I'm a little unsure about it, obviously, but I swooped in. I do think they try to get Barkley as much as they can involved with everything. So I'm going to go with him in the passing game over 1.5 receptions, right? They try to get it out a little bit to get him some space instead of running in, with the line all the time. So that's parlayed up. I think I can let you know what I got on that. It wasn't as juicy as you might think. It was like a Wharton type of bet. But
plus 175.
That's right. That's right.
I pulled it up because I actually saw that, and I was like, that's one of my favorite bets I saw of yours.
Oh, really? Okay. Yeah, so I snuck that in just because of I see both getting over. That's why I bet it. You know what I mean? Like, there's really no necessarily data behind it besides we know they're just going to kill Barkley, right? And then I think the success for the Chiefs are usually passing the ball, right? Take what the defense gives you, I think, right?
Well, and I kind of said, like earlier, I was saying I don't think they're going to have much success running. So that's why I like that pass attempts a ton.
Yep. One thing to note, I am probably going to swoop in on some unders, but I was going to wait till Sunday really close to kick on any under that I'm going to take. I already have a Jalen Hurts under 45.5 passing yards first quarter. Not a best bet, just noting it. Only because I hit that earlier this year in the playoffs, their first wild card round. But also, I just see a lot of get Barkley touches, get him going, get him involved with the game, right? Get him going quick, right? But then again, you could say, hey, they want to get Brown going, they want to get Goddard going, right? Get Devontae Smith some love, so that you could push it the other way. 45.5, I think is a little bit too much, especially with the Chiefs' passing defense being pretty solid. That's why.
I took his full game under, which I should have waited. I don't know why I did that, but I also took a little. Exact passing yards for Jalen Hurts. This is shifting to the fun land.
Oh, man.
Fun bets. Get this, though.
Okay.
176 to 200. His line's at 213.5.
Yeah.
I took the under anyways, but I was like, you know what? I think he's going to be close. Plus 450.
Wow, okay. 176 to 200, was that it?
Yeah. Yep.
Man.
So we got a little 25-yard window.
That's not bad. I don't hate it.
I'm always going to do these fun bets. Super Bowl, hell yeah.
Yeah, that's when the time to do it, honestly. Defensive score, you know what I mean? That's always a good one, right, to throw in there, something like that. Mm-hmm. Oh, man, could you imagine if you had the Broncos-Seahawks game and will there be a safety? Like that'd be a good one to have there. That would be pretty fun. So, yeah, I think I'll end up kind of swooping on some coin toss, Gatorade shower.
Okay, you'll pick the color.
Going to go tails. And since I'm on the Eagles side, I'm probably going to go because when they won with Foles, it was orange. Or it was not. So the purple is the favorites, plus 180 for purple. Everything else is 500 or better.
You can't go purple then, right? You got to go long shot.
That's right. So I'm going to go long shot. I was going to go something like an orange or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't know if they've shifted. I was looking at to see. Wow, it's kind of bouncing around now. I guess what book you have is going to be what it is. A lot of people like blue due to value, right? And blue's good.
I don't think I've ever seen blue though.
Okay. Yeah, I looked at the list. The Chiefs are a big purple crew. Back-to-back Super Bowls, right? Purple has been it both times.
Okay.
So I don't know if DraftKings does that or not. I know that's
I think that's illegal too, from a legal standpoint.
Really?
Man. Yeah, it sucks, dude. And yeah, and I got rid of my offshore, so I'm screwed on that. Here's what I'll say for those that can bet it. When the Bengals were in the Super Bowl, since we both worked for the Bengals, I texted my guy and I said, "Hey, tell me what color." And he said, "I can't," because he did have to go to a spot like an hour before the game. He said, "I can't because they bring it out and it's always random." Because I remember sometimes people are like, "Oh, I'm going to pick the color of the team I think is going to win." Don't do it. Don't do it. According to the guy on the sideline, they bring it out late. And so you don't know, and it's random. The NFL controls it, and it's not like we're not going to give the colors of the teams that Gatorade color. So just something to consider if you're able to bet it.
Wow.
Right?
One person at least knows, right? Because they have to mix it.
Correct. Yeah, right. That guy should bet his life on it.
That's what I'm saying. It's probably like Goodell over there, like, you know what I mean? Like, they're getting a little extra today. They got to juice up. Yeah, so no, like one person knows. Could you imagine? It feels like a lot of power. Like that dude's walking out there, like.
Just because he's a fucking Gatorade mixer.
Right.
Yeah.
Do they have a factor like all the players hate red? Don't go red. Right. They hate
those are questions we don't know, right? Yeah, I have no idea, man.
I know. It's just a thought. Okay.
Yeah.
That just made me laugh. Whatever. I get it. And that's cool that I don't know if it's cool, but it's interesting that they do it that way.
Right? Because I figured team would have choice. I totally thought team would have choice.
Yeah. That's quite, anyway, that's cool. All right. Anyway, you any more bets? Got any best bets? Or are you done?
I'm done with best bets. Got some fun ones. See if there's anything worth talking about here. That's a little bit more thought behind, actually, because some of these are just like random because it's like, hell yeah. Well, here's one I want to get your opinion on, so I'll ask you. Kareem Hunt and Saquon Barkley to each record 5+ rushing yards in each quarter. What do you think those odds are?
I'm going to go -120.
Plus 450.
Really?
So I bet it. That because I was like, I thought that too. I'm like, well, Saquon's going to hit it. So this is a Kareem Hunt bet, was my thought.
That's totally what it is.
It's 100% a Kareem. Yeah, plus 450. I'm like, what do they know that I don't know? I'm going to bet it anyways.
Because I'm banking on at least one rush from Hunt per quarter.
Right. Because we know he splits. Pirine gets in there a little bit too.
Right.
And I don't think the Chiefs are going to run a lot, but I'm still like, even if you get him 2 carries a quarter, I think he can average 2.5 yards.
That's the tough part. It's like, but I think it's pretty solid. I would take it. I mean, the odds alone makes me want. Well, I would take it.
Yeah, and that's yeah. As I was scrolling through the 800 bets they have, that's where some of these where I'm like, okay, this seems off. I'm in.
Yeah, minus
like,
120. I'm not taking it. Right.
Yeah. Right. Yes.
Yeah, I got you. No, that's nice. That's nice.
So, anyways, I mean, I think that covers kind of yeah, a lot of things I want to talk about. There's nothing else here crazy.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. We'll do best bets. We got some best bets. I got the slide, I think. We'll see what I got here. Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah, we don't have the slide. The slide's gone. No, I'm just kidding. I got it. Just didn't window capturing it. Here we go.
Were you wanting to hit on the Mahomes thing or no?
For
Legacy.
Oh,
so you
yeah.
had that in there. I didn't know.
If he gets killed, is his legacy, is it changed? Is it ruined? Like, I'm talking a 17-point plus loss. You're immediately thinking, no way. Why are we talking about this?
Well, no.
Impossible.
That could happen. It happened versus the Buccaneers. They got their ass beat. No, in no way. The guy's made 7 consecutive AFC championships, 5 of the last 7 Super Bowls. Top of my head, I think. Yeah, I think there's nothing that could harm his legacy. He's already a Hall of Famer.
Well, absolutely.
He's second in playoff wins already. He's not even 30 years old. Yeah. No, I mean, what are your thoughts? Because I think the only reason I laughed is because I think it's crazy to ask the question.
Because he's in Brady talk. If he gets killed, I think that changes that.
Mm.
You know, in Brady's losses, they beat the Giants. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Getting killed by this team would be, I think it does. I don't think he's considered in Brady talk anymore, in my opinion.
Really?
Yeah.
That is bold. I don't think one game could do that damage.
Yeah, 17-point drumming. Now, I don't think he's in Brady talk now. I think it's early.
Oh, okay.
Now, if he continues this trajectory, which is already trajectories above Brady, obviously speaking, it's insane. Like, we haven't had 3 in a row and forever, right? That changes things. Like, if he wins this one, okay, let's go. Right, like, let's start talking that now. But I don't think he is now at the moment. And if he gets killed, it's definitely not.
Okay. See, and I say he's in that conversation now because of the trajectory.
Okay.
Where they were at this point in their career. Obviously, there's a lot more to be done to your point, though. That's fair. Like, it could be different 10 years from now. Yeah,
that's the thing is, like, Brady goes on to win one at 39, 30, whatever age he was there with the Buccaneers. Like, it's pretty sweet. You know, it's longevity of a career, and that's why I'm not ready to say that yet. But trajectory-wise, yeah, I mean, okay. Especially if he wins this one, right? You can even start it right now, right, if he wins the Super Bowl. But if he gets killed, man, I think that changes it a bit. It's like, hey, you know, Chiefs been flirting all season, right? Against the spread record was pretty rough. You know what I mean? So, but the Eagles also had a very easy schedule this year, where they had a hard one last year, right? Like, so is this Eagles team really up to the challenge? So, I don't know. I just kind of thought a lot of people have bet the Chiefs because of Mahomes. So I just was wondering no one's asked that question.
They have not. No, they have not.
No one said, what does this do to him if he gets crushed? What does this do to his career? Nothing? You say nothing.
I say nothing. Okay. I think that's why the question hasn't been asked.
Okay. It's funny. So the guys, I mean, okay.
You obviously feel
he's untouchable. Yeah, I guess he's untouchable. Okay, clearly, I guess so. Okay. Anyway, best bets: Dallas Goedert. I have that over 50 and a half rushing yards, 10.5 tackles under for Zach Bond, groin injury. Jalen Carter's. There's apparently multiple Carters. Jalen Carter, Eagles defensive over half a sack. That's my sack bet. I've also got a Wharton floating around out there for the Chiefs. But parlay Barkley and Mahomes over their kind of passing. So over 1.5 receptions for Barkley, over 35 and a half pass attempts for that one. I'm surprised you said that was my best one. That was kind of Barkley's definitely going to get over this type of vibe. Anyway, what you got?
Yeah, no, I love that one, man. Yeah, I like that one a lot. Yep, Chiefs minus 1.5. Let's go fucking Chiefs. Hurts anytime touchdown. Just need to get him inside the 2-yard line and that cashes. And Marquise Brown over 42.5 receiving yards. Think he's gonna get some action in the middle of the field.
Wow, you like the Marquise Brown that well, huh?
I do, man. I do. They used him early and often versus the Bills. Yeah, but he's a good player.
Yeah, definitely come on late for the Chiefs, right? I mean, it's just be interested to see in the Super Bowl what kind of targets he gets. That's what I'm concerned about.
Yeah,
Is it 3 targets, right? Because we're trying to spread. I don't know. That's why you play the game. All right, you heard it here first, and everybody enjoy the Super Bowl, and thanks for listening. Peace.